got a very good referral from one of my colleagues that's been a customer of yours for a while now. I had no doubts coming into this that this was the way for me to go. I used to play around quite a bit. Both my properties that I own, I put the deposit down based on my shares trading, like profits that I made, and then sold a lot, started building it up again, and then sold a lot to get the second property. But it always felt like hard work. I had a bit of a philosophy of history, finance. I'm out of an engineering background and now driving trains, quite significantly away from the financial markets. I always used to try and buy in the ASX 200, something with dividends and a dividend reinvestment plan. So the idea was over a long period of time just to hold those stocks and let them pay for me. Just the amount of time that you spend researching things and trying to find the right stocks to buy, it was just exhausting. So I thought I'd let that somebody else make that decisions for me that has the experience. But I always enjoyed the idea of the stock market, investing in companies and let them make the money on my behalf. With your strategy, I can just take a step back and I don't have to do all the analyzing and over analyzing, because I think that's where it ends up. When you don't have the experience, you just tend to analyze in circles the whole time, and it's just exhausting. So a significant amount, like I was constantly on my phone just looking at, because I was on a margin loan at a certain stage as well, which was very nerve-wracking on the bad days. But I'm also very risk adverse. So it was something that was constantly picking up my phone, looking how the day is going, reading through things and trying to make sense of it. Never having studied any of it. It was just exhausting, but also a bit of fun because I was quite successful. Just reading through some of the books that you recommended and listening to you guys speak, trusting the process over a longer period, definitely gave me a little bit of calm. Like some days I don't even look at my portfolio because I know it's just doing what it has to do in the background. So it's taken a lot of that nervous, exciting energy off and just gone into, just let it do its thing, which is quite good to be experiencing at the moment. But I also think it's done more than just that. Because of the books that you recommend, a lot of that actually translates into private life and decision making around other things and building new habits. I think of it more as a holistic approach. It's been a benefit to my life in general, just slowly working at carving out some better habits. I think everything else that you guys have structured, because you do the power presentation as well, where you actually give the references of the Kindle and the hard copy books. So you can just revert back to that quickly to go and find what you were wanting to read. That was definitely a positive thing for me. So there's still things that I still want to get better at and understand better. I've done the course, but I want to still go through some of the forums and some of the understanding of what the measurements are. It's probably more of an interest sake than I have to know. So initially when I started trading, I got a fair bit of mining shares and I was like, oh, that feels a little bit like overwhelming in the mining stuff. But again, it's that long-term goal and just repeating that to myself that it's over a long stretch of time. For me, it's just to make sure that when the alerts come up and if it's applicable to me to just action it sooner. Because I'm a shift worker, sometimes I'll still sleeping at like 10:30 in the morning because I work afternoons or late. Like this week, I start at 8 p.m. I start overcomplicating it when it comes time to sell or buy. At what price am I going to get in? Because when we get the alert, it's just to get in there and get stuff done. I think I don't hesitate as much as I used to. There's definitely not that overthinking, overcomplicating it. It's like this morning or last night, I got the Whitehaven coal to sell, and I just went in this morning when I woke up, placed the order and just let it be. I wasn't fussed about it. It was a small loss, but I know that over a period of time that'll come back to me. So not too worried about it. That it's nice to just be calm and to constantly remind myself that whatever the trigger is, just do it and not to worry anymore. People sometimes forget to play the long game and they get out too quick. For me personally, I had a little moment last week where one of my stocks was trading at about over 10%. I was like, oh, so if I sell that at 10% and I get in another one and I can get another 10%, I might sell before I get that notification. And then I stepped back, thought about it and went, that's not trusting the process. So, and I think a lot of people are trying to do that by just taking small chunks, but then actually leaving the other ones ride too long, the losses. which is probably something I have done in the past. I think on my AGL shares and AMP shares, they just plummeted and I just kept on letting it go.
It's almost a cliche saying to let your profits run and cut your losses, but it's just amazing how many, I think it's 70 to 90% of the people do the exact opposite to what they're supposed to do.
With me coming from a bit of an athletic background, sports background, I don't like losing. So it's a new thing for me to learn that it's you only lose a quarter of the game or a half of the game. But when you come back in the second, the third and fourth quarter, you're really smashing out the goals. So it's been a hard lesson for me to come to terms with, to accept those losses. I've played everything, but the last couple of years was mostly indoor cricket. I was quite deep into it. Played interprovincials, played against England. Yeah, it was the game that ended up above all the other things that I tried. So yeah, I tried golf. I played golf back in South Africa, athletics, basically anything I could get my hands on. South Africa, the South African Masters mixed team, yeah. I think there's always a gap between what your brain tells you and then what your mechanical system tells you, or like that psychology bit of it. Like I say, I've found trading to be quite easy, but it is definitely a mind game because you are putting money on the line. It's not like you're putting money in real estate and you expect that 10% growth over, say, a 10-year period. With this, you know that the market can have a significant downturn and you could lose quite a bit of money at any given stage, which doesn't happen all that often. But for some people, I think that's more of a mental block than for others, where when I made the decision to get into it, I made a choice that I'm willing to gamble with. But I think that the word gamble has now changed for me from a negative connotation that I might lose, when now I believe that the longer I stay in it, the more chance I have of coming out in a great positive. It has been an adaptation from what I normally would experience, that anxiety, nervous energy, to a more calmness.
So you flipped from being the punter in the casino to being the casino.
Pretty much, yeah. In a sense, I guess I have, yeah. And I constantly remind myself, like, just stay calm, trust the process, put the sell order in. So yeah, it has been a mind shift for me. So I've actually already started to actually add to the money that I'm investing to make it grow, because I've started at what is probably like the bare minimum, which I definitely want to increase that. So over the next 3 years, it would be to definitely probably up that to at least double or maybe triple if I can. Just invest more, larger chunks, and take the good and the bad with that. Yeah, maybe a shorter period, shorter term. I'd like to just go through the courseware again. But yeah, I'd definitely like to read a few more books, just on people's perspective of trading, and just to build those foundations a bit better, and definitely work on some of the habits. That was probably one of the biggest things I got out of it, is just building new habits, learning about habits, understanding what triggers those habits, and then how to form new ones. Trading perspective as well as a personal perspective. Yeah, my initial fears have been sort of allayed, and that's no longer a problem for me. So I was just going to say, I had a few phone calls from your team, and they've all been really good at what they've done, the way they've interacted. It was all professional, but not that overly sticky. There was still a bit of just normality in it, where some companies tend to go overboard with the formalities. Your team was really good at what they did.